Today we are going to talk about one of the most important things in this game, and that being movement. Now you might ask, why is movement so important? Because it helps you outmaneuver your opponent and win in the neutral game. So as always, this guide is going to be layered into multiple segments and you'll find the timestamps for it in the description. We are going to talk about everything there is to know about movement in this game. We are going to cover basic movement actions, up close and from afar, and we're also of course going to talk about advanced movement options and how to cancel your movement options. So I'd say let's just get right into it. Alright, so movement in this game is basically layered into two different sections. You have the one from up close and the one from afar. As you can see from afar, I can move fast, and once I enter the step-in barrier is what I call it. As you can see, the character slows down. So we're gonna talk about the first section, which is the one from afar. What can I do? As you can see, I can normally move around. I can also drag and dash by pressing R2 plus X. You can stop this by pressing X. I can also drag and dash up and down by pressing my drag and dash. So R2 on PlayStation plus L1 for ascending, looks like this. Or I can also press R2 plus L2, the descending version. So these are the drag and dash movement options. Another movement option we have is if we want to get close up, we can do a quick dash. This is done by basically just pressing X. As you can see, this is a very fast movement option. The last thing we can do from afar is burst dash. This. You do this by holding R2 and pressing X 2 times, like this. These are basically all the movement options you have from afar. Alright, now that we know about all of our movement options, the next question is obviously what purpose do they serve and how do we cancel them and how do we use them in general. So the drag and dash options can be cancelled into each other. Basically I can cancel any of these drag and dash options into each other. I can go up, down, left and right, however I want pretty much. Now this in general is good to reposition yourself to charge ki. You might ask, why do I want to reposition myself and not just go in right away? Because ki is absolutely essential in this game. Not only does it give you access to your supers, of course, but it also gives you the edge during super counter wars, because if you get good in super counters, it only comes down to who has more ki. And if you are the one who has more ki, you are definitely going to win these exchanges and be able to continue your combo. So a good way to do this early on during round start is basically just flying up and then charging your ki. I know this is simple, but this makes it hard for them to basically catch up to you. Of course, you can also fly away, gain some distance and then charge ki, and then close in. Now, the next step, like I said, is closing in. Obviously, how do we close in? The best way, in my opinion, to close in is probably quick dashing, even though there is another way, but we'll cover that in a second. To quick dash from a drag and dash, all you do is press X, like this. Now, the good thing about this is we can do this at any point doing whatever drag and dash we are currently using. I can do this while flying up or down or to the side or to the back. It really doesn't matter. So another thing is that we can control the trajectory of the quick dash by the direction that we're holding, right? So if I'm holding my quick dash to the side, I can go to the side. So this gives me multiple options to approach, as you can see. And I can make it even, well, let's just say a bit confusing for the opponent, right? I can do stuff like this, just basically phasing around. And of course, there's a variety of ways to get in, but how exactly you use this is really up to you. You can get creative with it. If you understand this basic principle of how to cancel into it, you can use it in whatever way you see fit in any situation. You can, for example, just dodge around and then go in. It's really up to you. Another thing we can do is cancel our drag and dash into a burst dash. We do this by holding R2 and pressing X 2 times. This puts us right to the opponent, which is of course very good because it doesn't matter how far away we are, we are going to get to our opponent, and we want to get in at some point during the game, right? Now, what is the downside to this? Of course, there's a downside. If you're pressing burst dash into square, which is this follow-up, as you can see, this one, they can actually perception this on reaction, or they can, of course, just mash square, because it takes some time for you to get to them, right? And during this time, they can already press square and punish you. So don't be too predictable using this. It's still good to have, and the burst dash itself has a multitude of uses. For example, you can use the burst dash to continue combos from your smash attacks. Like this. How do we do this? Basically, we time our burst dash right as they recover. How do I do this? Well, basically just experience. When I knock them up or down with my smash attack, I charge until I believe that they recover, and then I burst dash. Now, do keep in mind that if you smash them to the left or the right side or to the neutral side, they will recover quicker, so you don't have as much time to key charge. I do the key charge personally because this makes it so that I regain my key, and as we've already established, having key is absolutely crucial, right? So this is basically everything there is to cover. Do keep in mind that burst dash, again, is one of the most important techniques to get to your opponent and continue your combo. It's just not that great in Nooch, in the neutral game basically, if you're just trying to get in like this, because good opponents will definitely counter you for doing that. The main use it has, in my opinion, is really for continuing combos from any smash attacks or grabs or supers that you have that knock them away. Next up, we're going to talk about movement options up close. What do I mean when I say up close? I mean when we enter the step-in barrier. This is indicated by our character slowing down. Now, compared to outside of the step-in barrier, our movement gets way slower. But what we do gain inside the step-in barrier is steps. How do we do steps? We do steps by holding any direction and pressing X. Now, what is so good about these, you may ask? They have invincibility frames. This is indicated by the character flashing during it. This means that if our opponent is pressing into us during a step while we are flashing, they are not hitting us. Another thing we can do is hold guard during the step, like this. What this basically does is prolong our invincibility frames. So if an opponent attacks us during this, they are not going to hit us, which means we can dodge and then retaliate with squares. Another thing we can do inside the step-in barrier, same as outside of the step-in barrier, is Dragon Dash. Now you may ask, why is this useful? Because this helps us get out of situations we don't want to be in. Let's just say you are close up to your opponent and you see them pressing buttons. You can simply Dragon Dash up. So now that we know about all our movement options up close, we are going to talk about how to specifically use them and what makes them good. So first of all, we are going to talk about stepping and sidesteps. Why are these so good again? Like I've already said, during the sidestep you have invincibility frames. Prolonged invincibility frames if you hold guard during it. It looks like this. This means if somebody is pressing into you during this state, you're going to dodge whatever they are pressing. And then you can simply retaliate yourself pressing squares. Specifically, another situation where sidesteps are good in is if your opponent is mashing from afar, you can simply sidestep, dodge, and then you are already at their back. And this is again absolutely fantastic because from their back we have our full combo potential. Another thing that you can do from sidesteps is sidestep triangle. Now sidestep triangle is also really good. It's unique for every character because every character has a different action from it. For Goku Black, which I'm using right now, it's his key wave. But one thing that every move shares is that it has armor on it. So basically, if I sidestep triangle and somebody presses into me, I'm going to beat out their mash because my triangle move has armor on it. This is very good for clashes and exchanges in general. So if you see somebody mashing, you can also simply do this. Again, this is unique to every character though. Some characters have heavy finishes, Goku Black has his Ki Wave, but they all have armor on it. The only thing you have to keep in mind during sidesteps is that at the end of it, you are actually open to being punished. So basically, once the period ends where I'm flashing, you can be punished. So you have to be careful with doing these. Another movement option we have is the before mentioned Dragon Dash. This is good for similar reasons to the sidestep because it lets us dodge and then get back in to retaliate. How does this look like? Basically, if somebody presses into you, you can Dragon Dash up and then Burst Dash behind them. And then you can counter them. You can also simply Dragon Dash away from them and then Burst Dash. Basically, these are just ways to outmaneuver your opponent. Another thing we can do is cancel our Dragon Dash into a Quick Dash, like this. So basically, when we have enough range between us and the opponent, we can Dragon Dash away and then Quick Dash square in. This is also very good to retaliate and counter your opponent. Now that we've covered both sections, the outer section, so outside of the step and barrier, and the inside of the step and barrier, so basically up close, it's time to talk about some advanced movement options. So these are basically movement options that allow you to open up your opponent. Let me show one of them to you. This one. See that? This makes it so that we can get behind them. And again, if you do want to know why we want to get behind them, please watch my combo theory guide. It's explaining that absolutely in depth. After that, you'll know everything there is to know. But for this video, just know that we want to get to their back. It's absolutely essential for us to get our full combos. So how do we do this movement tech? Basically, what we do is from the step and barrier, we Dragon Dash away, right? And then we Quick Dash. And during the Quick Dash, we jump. Just like this. And once we jump and we notice that our jump is behind them, we press step into their direction. Looks like this. 1 second, I'ma just key charge. Exactly like that. It's important that you don't do it too fast, because if you do it too fast, this is gonna happen. You'll stay in front. Now you can not only do this up close, but you can also do it from afar, like this. So if your opponent is being stationary, in general this is a very good way to get in on the ground. Your variation of the movement technique from before. So it's the same principle. We Dragon Dash out and then Quick Dash. But this time we are going to angle our Quick Dash, like this. How do we do this? Basically, we just hold the direction we want to go in while pressing X. Now, why is this good? Because it lets us get to their back. Let me show you what it looks like. Exactly like this. It's not that hard to do, but it does take some practice. The one that I showed you at first obviously only works on the ground, but angling your Quick Dash also works in the air. Like this. Another thing which we can do in the air, which we can't do on the ground, is Quick Dash into them, right? And then hold our stick to the side to hover around them. It looks like this. Y'all see this? Now you can also do this from a Dragon Dash, which looks like this. Easy enough, right? Now this one is a bit more tricky, I believe, because they think that you are staying in front when you actually aren't, if they can even react in time. So in the air we have both of these options, and you can do whichever one you prefer. Both of these are very good to get to your opponent's back. Let me give you an example during a combo. And now we're at their back and we can do our combos fully. Right? Okay, I think this covers all the advanced movement techniques that I currently know of that are worth mentioning. So wrapping this guide up, you should know how to move around in and outside of the step and barrier to outmaneuver your opponent and gain the advantage. For example, to key charge or to get in and mix them up and get to their back. Now again, getting to their back is absolutely crucial because here you have your full combo game without them being able to block. How do you do it again? Well, by using advanced movement techniques like this one, or maybe this one. So like I said, after watching this, you should know exactly how to do it. And if you do have any questions left, please put them in the comments. I'll try to respond as fast as possible. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video and found it to be informative, a like is very much appreciated. Overall, the support I've been getting on my current guides has been nothing short of amazing. If you haven't checked out my other guides yet, you can find them on my channel. They go over characters and the general combo theory. And, well, I'd say until next time, peace.